Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 225 of the Classic Elite Podcast. My name is Scott. I've got Dustin with me. What's going on, man?
Same old. Ready to talk about some games?
225 seems like one of those nice arbitrary numbers for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was the United States, we'd have a parade on the 225th. Yeah. So, welcome to our bicentennial quarter-ish year.
The 25th anniversary of our bicentennial.
Okay. Yes. There we go. Well said.
I guess it'd be the 24th anniversary.
Let's not. Math is hard. Yep. So, which is a good forerunner to the outro song this week. The hashtag on SoundCloud is Math Sounds or Math Rock. It was Math Rock. So,
yeah, all right.
We're bookending it with terrible math stuff. So, but Dustin, before I jump into gaming news and whatnot, how's the week been?
Dumb.
Okay.
Yeah, my weekend was kind of shot. I was waiting for a new mattress to be delivered.
You told me that after the show.
Yeah, on Saturday, and it took basically all day. And then after that, I was waiting for something else. So there was a weekend that was completely without a Cyberpunk Saturday.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, I would have been unavailable to do like a supplement stream. So maybe your listeners are happy for a break. It's just one of those days, right?
On a bright note, North Carolina made it to Final Four.
They did. I was rooting for them. The end of that Kentucky-North Carolina game was insane.
Yeah.
That was one of those situations where both teams could not have done better, and someone just happened to lose. Wow, that was great. If you're not sure what we're talking about, just Google Elite Eight Kentucky versus North Carolina 2017. And it's awesome. So, good. I guess, I had something I wanted to bring up before the show. I didn't put it in the notes thinking there's no way I'm going to forget to talk about this, and totally can't remember what it is. So, maybe by the end of the show, I will remember what the hell I wanted to talk about.
Think something different quick. What's your favorite fried chicken place?
Miller's, where I went to college. But this isn't tip of the tongue. Like, I thought about it hours ago. So it's gone. I went to go open a checking account for the podcast today at a new bank. Mm-hmm. And I sit down to talk with like the banker guy. Huge gamer. Like, right. He's like, oh, what's the business and all that, and I'm like, oh, we're a podcast. He's like, what about? And I'm like, video games, and his eyes just lit up. And he's a big Blizzard StarCraft fan. Also plays Diablo a lot, and he lived in Korea for 2 years, so he saw like Korean esports StarCraft hype. He saw it for real. He was telling me about this. Like mall place where every floor was like maybe shops, restaurants, and at the very top was this like epic video game arena, and it sounded like a huge concert hall kind of thing, like if you'd see like a big, I don't know, Nine Inch Nails show or something. And I don't know, it was cool. And it also, he reminded me a lot of you and Sully, because he still plays games a lot with his dad, whether it's like a Blizzard game or they've also branched off, and they've burnt out on Diablo, so they went to like Path of Exile and Torchlight and stuff like that. So it was cool. Just to say I do a video game podcast, and him to be like, hey, really? Let's talk. So Ryan, if you're listening, if you ended up Googling us, thanks, man. I really enjoyed meeting with you. So
it's always good to not have somebody go, oh, okay.
Right.
Keep going to what they're
Yeah. So I forgot to ask what branch of the military, though. Korea, I just assumed Navy, but I don't know.
There's an Army post.
Is there? Maybe it was Army. Mm-hmm. It was also cool. I was telling him how you and I got to meet in Nashville. Like, our families got to hang out, and we're like, hey, we're not catfishing each other. And he's in some guilds with World of Warcraft friends, and he's ended up meeting them in person because out of weird coincidences, this one girl that he plays with lives in like San Diego or Houston or something, and just happens to need to come to Finley. He's like, "Are you kidding?" Like, out of all the people in the world, like in this tiny little town, so they get to hang out every now and again. It was really cool. So
Cool.
and also, I wanted to let people know. Follow us on Instagram because we've been having a lot of fun with pictures. Or I should say, I have. Dustin, it's getting better. I can help you through. I can give you a tutorial for internet hard mode.
Okay.
And also, I want to let people know SoundCloud. Make sure to follow us there. Not just because of the podcast, but that's where I repost the video game music that I play at the end of our shows. So definitely give that a listen or follow us there if you are interested in seeing, I guess, teases or upcoming music that we may be featuring. If you're not familiar, it's kind of like YouTube in a way where you upload a video, but you upload a song to it, but it navigates like Twitter. So you share and repost songs instead of writing comments and having them be isolated things. So you can follow artists that you like, and then when they repost songs, you get to hear what the musicians you like are into. So it's a very fun ecosystem to be in. And then, Dustin, I have one more announcement thing, and then we'll get into news. I want to give a quick shout out to the Retro Roundtable podcast. They've had 2 episodes. But the reason I'm bringing it up is it's got a lot of people that I already follow kind of coming together. It's got the guys from HD Retrovision, Nick and Steve. And it's got Zach from Voltaire's Mod Shop, who I've interacted with about the SNES Mini, like outside of the podcast. And he does mods and stuff. And then you also have Renee from, he's in Canada, and he's from a site called DB Electronics, I think. And also it's run by Bob from Retro RGB on YouTube. And if you want to get like nerdy and engineering level into video game consoles, like video, audio, hardware variants, chip information, particular components, bullshit that they find on eBay, kind of ripping off their designs and stuff. But these guys are engineering how to do the RGB stuff. And if you're interested in that, I would recommend it. I listened to the second episode, and it was great. They started talking about distribution and the like HD Retrovision. Mm-hmm. Their cables sell out instantly.
Yeah.
And it was a fascinating discussion hearing these small businesses dealing with inventory. Like, it was fascinating. Because how do you gauge if you make an error and you ordered 500 things and you can't sell them? For 2 dudes, that's a lot of cost to eat.
Yeah, man.
But the flip side of that is, your product is selling well. Why don't you order more?
Right.
Or why don't you take pre-orders? And then they gave their perspectives of why they're not accepting pre-orders. And that's Voltaire as well. So it was a great show. It's like 2 hours. It was wonderful. So just look for the Retro Roundtable podcast and you'll find it. Okay, Dustin, I'm ready for news.
Let's do it.
Did you see the first thing I put in the show notes?
I did, yeah. The Project Y from Watermelon Games. They finally named it, and they gave it a release window. It's called Papyrium, and it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up for the Sega Genesis. But the trailer is really where it's at.
It's jaw-dropping as far as the extent they went to be as 90s as possible. Yeah. They were... It's probably way more intense than the actual Sega commercials, but it's intense in the way I remembered the Sega commercials being intense because I was 10.
Yeah.
And they're calling the genre RPB for, like they're adding role-playing elements to the beat-em-up, the Final Fantasy style game. And it's an 80 meg cart, which is almost twice as big, I think, as any cart that's been produced other than maybe Pure Solar for the Genesis. So it's expensive. It's like $90 to pre-order.
I want it. It looks great.
I invested in it 5 years ago. I gave him $50 5 years ago, and finally got to convert that over to a pre-order. Finally. But it seems like my patience will have paid off. The game looks neat, and there's all these little extras that the investors get.
Sweet.
And then the
I hope you
SNES...
get like a gold card or something. That would be awesome.
Well, that is available, but I didn't back to the level to do that. But I may be entered in a drawing for it. They are releasing a custom controller for it.
Hey,
A custom Sega Genesis 6 button. And there's like 3 gold ones of those that are given away for some contest.
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. And the SNES game Project N that I gave them $50 4 years ago. That game, I'm going to be in the credits of that.
Yeah, all right.
I missed this one by a couple weeks, but that's okay. It looks... You just watch the trailer. I'll have it in the show notes. Look at Paprium, Paprium. And I'm excited. It's happening. I gave that money up a long time ago.
They're also releasing alongside their antidepressant, Paprium.
That does sound like an antidepressant.
Right.
My mom was a secretary for a psychiatrist for like 20 years when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And we had... Our teachers must have thought we were literally insane because we had all of these notepads and all of our pens that we would use at school were all marketing materials from what a psychiatrist would prescribe.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't have any like antipsychotics or anything, but like it wouldn't be weird for me to have a Zoloft or a Paxil like pen in 5th grade, just like taking notes.
That's unfortunate. It'd be awesome to have like a Haldol pen or stationery.
Yeah. I should email Watermelon and be like, hey, Dustin came up with this awesome idea for you guys.
Yes.
They'd send you like a little prescription pad and you could, oh man, we can go down a rabbit hole with that.
I would keep it forever.
Yes, I
put
would.
it right there.
You got a perfect spot for it. You're getting really good at that. You missed your calling, not being a weatherman.
Well, maybe tomorrow we'll do a special stream.
Oh, yeah.
House is lifted off its foundations.
Hey, we just got randomly approved, or it was turned on. You can live stream now on YouTube from your phone.
Sweet.
If you're logged into our Classic Lead account, you can stream to our channel from your phone. So,
oh, yeah.
Give us that weather, man. Hey, Zarek hooked us up with some crazy footage when the hurricane was coming through, and he was playing his Nomad, like with the power off. I was like, "That's hardcore. That's awesome."
Eating up his AA batteries, playing video games.
Yeah. So the next thing, and Dustin, I'm really curious to get your thoughts on this. Kind of either what your gut reaction is, or if you've thought about it. Twitch is starting to sell games this week. I've totally missed talking about this over the last couple of years, or the last couple of weeks. This was announced a while ago, but next week it starts. So if we were on Twitch and we were playing Deus Ex, we can have a link where someone could go buy the game through that link, and then we would get a commission on the game.
Okay.
On that sale. What are your thoughts on that as a game sales platform or a way to distribute games?
I don't see anything wrong with that.
The only worry I have is, and maybe I'm totally wrong, but when it comes to the demographics of people that watch Twitch, I tend to think of them like in their 20s or younger.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have a 13 or 14-year-old with a credit card hooked up to Steam or whatnot, will these Twitch streamers that have tremendous amount of influence be willing to take cash to promote a shitty game and say it's great and have these like generate some sales from an ingenuous perspective. Like
at that point, that's the fault of the parents for a 13-year-old having a credit card anyway.
Yeah, I understand that. I agree.
And if you're old enough to own a credit card, then if you're buying something off the recommendation of one person, then you're probably doing it wrong anyway.
Yeah, that's also a good point. So, yeah, you can't protect everybody, right?
Yeah.
Gotta. What do they. Like Darwin, what do they call that? You gotta. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I guess I saw it as a bit of a slippery slope, just skeptical of kind of the seediness of what could happen, but they're the ones spending the money. If they were manipulated, it's their own fault. And don't buy from that streamer again. Yeah, you're right.
Once I learn how to manipulate people out of their money, that's when we start a Patreon. So.
Oh man, yeah. I don't think we could trick people to that level. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, I didn't get a chance to watch the video, but there's a new speedrun world record for Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm.
It's at 17 minutes and 9 seconds.
So this kid was a little annoying. I watched it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, his hair was too long. I was like, get a haircut, Kippy.
I agree. Get a haircut, hippie. That's a funny quote from a Cage song I like.
But I kind of feel bad for speedrunners who do this because I feel like it would completely ruin the game. Like you would, if you could beat the game in 17 minutes, you would never play it the way it's supposed to be played.
That's a good point. And I just to tie that together, I streamed Batman yesterday. It was very hard, and I went and looked at speedruns, and I found one that was world record, beat it in 10 minutes. So I watched the guy streaming it, and someone asked him during the stream if he would do Mega Man 2, and his response was, no, I have too many good memories of that game. So it's exactly what you're talking about. Like, he's aware that he's not even playing the game. He's accomplishing a task, essentially.
Yeah.
It was pretty freaking rad to watch him, like, scream through Batman, though.
At that point, you're not seeing the art design. You're not hearing the music. It's all mechanics.
It's like Tank in the Matrix. All he does is see what's wrong or the nuance. He can't appreciate being in the Matrix and seeing it for real. Zarek says that he personally has zero interest in speedruns. I'm not interested in doing them, but I do like to watch them.
I like normal gameplay speedruns. I'm not fond of glitches.
Okay.
And I'm not fond of tool assisted.
Yeah, the tool assisted I don't like it. I agree. I like the official, you press start and you go.
Yeah.
And when it's over, that's when the clock stops. If you die, yeah. There's not too many games I think I would be really good at speed running. Maybe Chippendale I eventually could. That's got some really quirky engine stuff to it as far as how they jump and the physics. But I'm pretty good with that. I think I could learn a lot of the glitches and stuff in that one. Are there any that you think you might be able to do? Like, let's say you had to do it.
If I had to?
Yeah.
Maybe Mega Man 2? Maybe? Just because I've played that so many times, it's just kind of I've already kind of pulled away from the fluff of the game. It's kind of... Which kind of makes me depressed now that I think about it.
You've already turned over every rock.
Yeah.
I've never done the Buster only run with Mega Man 2, so I'm still holding on to that. And I haven't done it with Contra, so eventually though, I'm gonna sit down and do that with Contra. Be fun. Zarek says speedrunners pay tons of money for newly discovered exploits. I did not know that. He said it's a super competitive thing. That I knew, but I didn't realize that people sell tips. That's 1-900 number in the back of a gaming magazine stuff.
Yeah. We should do that. We should get a 1-900 number.
I don't know if you can anymore. There's a podcaster I like named Justin Robert Young, and he's got a wrestling podcast called 1-900 Wrestling or something like that. I don't watch it, but I'm subscribed to his YouTube channel, so I'll see it pop up. And the joke, they were going to have a call-in show with a 900 number, I think, and they couldn't do it. Maybe you could. I don't know. It's disappointing. It should still be, like, you could get dial-up internet still, right?
Yeah.
So you should be able to get a 900 number. Before cell phones, my mom got an 800 number so that it was cheaper for me to call from college the 800 number that would ring the home phone than the long distance charges I had. What a weird time. And I was technically an adult when that happened.
Yeah.
Weird.
You remember the like 1-800 like call ATT or for like the free long distance? It was like some convoluted string of numbers. Like Carrot Top would do the commercials for them.
The 1-800 call ATT is definitely, I remember that, but I don't remember Carrot Top commercials.
Oh, man.
What's that? Carrot Top. He was one of those guys that's like, why is he incredibly successful at this? And even when he got like super jacked, his routine kept going on in Vegas. I was like, what the heck? So yeah, that's our thoughts on speedrunning stuff. And then next thing, did you happen to check out this article at all? The StarCraft one?
Yeah, if you Google Carrot Top phone commercial, you get like a million of them.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. All right.
Everybody should do that. Yes, StarCraft Remaster is coming this summer. And it looks real good. They said, what was the line from the article? It was, you can zoom out for like from space you can see down, or you can like go in so close that you can see like veins in the wings of the enemy.
Oh, wow. I didn't go that far into this article. I had a source from somewhere else and decided to go with the Ars Technica article. So I knew that they covered it.
I think I read the Polygon one.
Okay. So coming in summer, and they're calling it the StarCraft Anthology, so you get the original StarCraft and the Brood War expansion. Mm-hmm. And they said free as in beer to download, which I thought was pretty funny. Which was a confusing phrase. Have you ever heard free as in beer? Mm-hmm. So if you were to say free speech, like that's not a quantifiable free. Like okay, there's no cost to it. But if someone said, here's a free beer, you know exactly that they're giving you an actual beer. It's yes. So they're saying it's free and then tongue-in-cheek as in a beer. And it really confused the hell out of people. But yeah, it seems the gist I got of it is they're going to have the ability for new players with the current patch to still play with old players. Like there was patch 1.16, which is all the standard definition stuff, and patch 1.18 is going to be all the new stuff, and it's going to still work together somehow. And they've redone all the sprites, but they've kept the particulars about Brood War in there. They didn't polish things that players maybe would exploit or take advantage of that wasn't originally intended. They didn't change any of that stuff mechanically. That's awesome.
Yeah.
They left it alone and are going to have a slicker platform for people to play what I view as like the original like big time esport. This was the first one that I knew of that people were hardcore about. And Tony should be excited. He played a ton of it in college. He and his buddies.
Yeah. I think that's why he gave it to me, so he'd stop playing it.
Oh, that's right. He did give that to you. When he gave me Harry Potter, so we know what he thinks of each of us.
You know what? He knew what was coming. He knew the remaster was coming. He was like, I don't need this anymore. Give it to stupid Dustin.
Yeah. Here, Scott, I'm not going to play Harry Potter anymore. You can have these. I'm not playing StarCraft. Here's that. I never played StarCraft 1. I watched a documentary about StarCraft 2 from Brood War player perspectives, but that's all I know about it. So, I'm excited for the Blizzard fans that are getting 4K, but the old school game. I feel their pain wanting to have, like with my old consoles, the amount of money I've spent to get them to scale appropriately is embarrassing. But
this is the perfect time for my StarCraft tribute band, 4K Zerg Rush, to release.
I like that. I'd buy that album.
We're the proto men of StarCraft.
Proto Men. God, I haven't heard them in a while. Them and Mini Bosses were huge names when we were they'd been around a while when even we started the podcast. They've been around for like over 10 or so years. So cool. Well, keep your eye out for the StarCraft stuff that's coming this summer, and have fun with that. As Eric says, our daily Hearthstone login rewards are starting today. No, that's not in the news. I did not see that. So I guess log in daily to Hearthstone and you'll get rewards.
I do.
I know. I do wish that you or Tony would have gotten into it. I would have liked to have played with you guys. But, oh well. I still play it, Hearthstone. But did I tell you I don't think that I'm going to spend any money on the new expansion. I think I've hit my limit.
Yeah.
So I'm hoarding.
You've been playing it for like 8 years?
It's been a long time. Since the... I was in a closed beta. I've been playing since then. I got real lucky with Blizzard a few years ago. I got in the Heroes of the Storm Alpha. I was in the Hearthstone beta. They were really clearly going for brand new customers, not the old people that they knew they had in the bag. They're like, oh, you're new and you're playing with like good, long-time Blizzard players. Here's a alpha key. Like, all right, sweet. And the next thing in the news, this is not a good look for Nintendo, Dustin.
This is bad.
This is bad. Lego City Undercover, which was a pretty fun Wii U game, except for the load times. They're having a port for the Switch. Seems fine. However, even if you get the physical copy of the game, you still have an internet connection requirement and a requirement of 13 gigs of available space. And do you want to know where this information came from directly?
Where?
The box. This isn't speculation.
The video game box.
It's on the video game box. It's a warning. So it was 100%. They knew it. They realized it. Like, this Nintendo cartridge pricing thing is starting to be a little concerning for me. Or a bit of a concern, I should say.
Man, they cannot do this.
If it's going to cost, and the game's $60 new coming out. So if you can't make any money porting a game onto a medium-sized cart, that's really trouble. If you're, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal if the stock system was wasn't only 32 gigs. There's going to be a lot of parents that don't know to buy a cheap SD card to throw in there.
Yeah.
Bad luck, Nintendo.
Do you know how big the OS is on the Switch?
A couple gigs. I want to say maybe that was the Microsoft Surface. It was only like 20 some gigs that I had available. Maybe 21 or 25.
Just fresh out of the box?
Yeah.
Man.
You know what Lego City Undercover should do? Ship with a micro SD card in the box.
Yeah, okay.
Like Donkey Kong Country style.
Yeah.
You know, they buy those in quantity. They could keep the price the same. Actually, they could probably get away with a cheaper cart. But that sounds like a super easy fix. It'd be great for the consumer, but that logistically may be a nightmare. Maybe somebody brought that up.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it would be awesome. Or maybe, God, even if they'd give you a voucher for one or something.
Just anything but this.
Yeah.
Anything but this.
Couldn't have said it better. Nintendo, that's not good. So, the next thing, did you happen to click on this Polygon article about Tomb Raider the movie?
Mm-hmm.
How good does Alicia Vikander look as Lara Croft? I think
she looks just like her.
I think it looks incredible.
Yeah.
My friend Matt told me, don't get your hopes up. The movie's going to be terrible. If it's even just decent, like if I can finish it, that's fine.
Right.
You know, give me something better than Suicide Squad.
Who is?
I haven't looked into who's directing it or who's writing the story or anything like that.
Roar Uthang?
Does he have any other titles that we might recognize?
Fuck, what in the hell is that? Is that even a name?
It's like Yui Bowl or whatever that gore porn dude is. But yeah, any noticeable movies that you found?
Some stuff that I've seen on Netflix but never watched.
Okay.
No, nothing really.
All right.
Maybe this will be his breakout.
Maybe.
Thing.
Hey, everybody starts somewhere. Spielberg was a no-name with Jaws, so.
Right.
Now that's pretty hyperbolic for me to have that kind of an expectation. But she looks the part. At least the marketing material looks great, so maybe it'll be awesome. And I also briefly heard Tom Merritt talk on the Daily Tech News Show about Oculus working with Warner Brothers for potentially a VR experience around Ready Player One.
Oh,
yeah, right?
Awesome.
Like that's hard to not get like outrageously excited for. So I'm gonna temper my expectations. But to put on the headset and like be in their little den arcade, or get to be in his room in the stacks, or see what their armor looks like. Oh man, that would really be I hope that's a fun movie. I hope that doesn't stink too. Give me a good Tomb Raider Ready Player One.
You go in and you're in the stacks as him, and then you have to make him put the headset on, and then you're in the game.
Yes.
That's him.
Like Inception. VR and VR. Fingers crossed.
Next thing you know, you're playing Joust with somebody.
Okay, we've given away like everything so far. Go watch your
family.
Yeah. His name's John. He dies at the end. And then the last thing in the news, I didn't realize how close Michael Jordan was to being in the release of NBA Jam.
Why isn't he?
Licensing. In that part of the 90s, video game companies needed to license directly with players and not with the Players Association. So Nike was like, no, and wouldn't let Michael Jordan do it. Now today, NBA Jam would have the license of everybody and Michael Jordan couldn't opt out of it. But at that time, he could opt out for an individual game. And I also don't think that you could get right now, I don't think you could have Steph Curry's NBA basketball or anything. Maybe you could, but his license or his likeness actually might be property while he's a current player. It's insane how that kind of stuff works. But
somebody owns your likeness. That's weird,
right? So Michael Jordan was pulled 3 weeks before the first shipping of the game, I guess, according to the article that I saw from Polygon. And the reason this came up was there was a someone named last name Trummel. I forget his first name, but he was like the lead on the project or studio owner or something like that. And he was asking questions or he was answering questions from fans, and someone asked if there is an EEPROM available, because the rumor has always been that they gave the chips for the arcade cabinets with Michael Jordan in it to a few NBA players. So there are, in theory, existing official ROMs with Michael Jordan in there from the development team and not like patched in. And the guy was like, if we find it, we'll release it, and we think we may be able to find it.
Sweet.
So fingers crossed, and you maybe get the actual ROM of the intended original NBA Jam, which would be cool. Zarek said that today's, going back to Hearthstone, he said today's Tavern Brawl is co-op, and it was fun. He just finished it. It was hard to divide his attention, so he put his phone down. I appreciate picking us over the game, because I bet the game's more fun.
Way to be a bro.
Yeah. And he's taking some Zelda breaks for us, so I appreciate that.
He might be done with it. He's been playing Fallout recently.
Yes, yeah. But, I mean, it was just when he took his Zelda break, it was appreciated.
Oh, right. Yes.
So, fingers crossed. Maybe we'll get the real NBA Jam that we all wanted. And that just shows how good that game was, that even the juggernaut of Michael Jordan couldn't temper the popularity of that game.
Yeah.
Nobody really cared Michael Jordan wasn't in it. And the only
I bet Scottie Pippen has that ROM.
It was I could see him being one of them.
Charles Barkley.
I was gonna say maybe not. I could see like maybe Shaq or Barkley or
Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, Patrick Ewing or somebody.
Bill Clinton.
That'd be unbelievable. If WikiLeaks could provide me any bit of information, that might be the one thing I want to know. Does Bill Clinton have the real NBA Jam? So, I think that's really cool. And, it's fun to kind of think who might have it. I would think Scottie Pippen wouldn't be offered, because that was his time to shine as the star.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Horace Grant, who was cool. He had this Rex Specs, and who else would have been in the game? Paxton, maybe? Tom Paxton? When that one came out? Or B.J. Armstrong? I'm trying to think which three they would have selected. Because there was like Luke Longley and Tony Kukoc later.
He was in there.
Wait, like the actor, or was there a basketball player? Wasn't there Will Smith on like the Hawks or something? There was a
Fresh Prince. I'm talking about the Fresh Prince.
Oh, okay. Was he really in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know if he was in the home versions, but he was definitely in the arcade version.
That's pretty badass. Zarek said he let his mom borrow his Wii U. There aren't multiple game files. His save is dead. He said, Wow. Sacrifice it. Well, you luckily, Zarek, you do have an archive of it, and I think you loved the game, so you can start it and play it again. Zarek says, so long as he gets Donald Trump, he is fine. And his hands better be huge. Because he's all offended about people making fun of his tiny hands.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that, is that Burger King, where the dude was eating a hamburger with tiny hands? You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Burger King did some weird ads. So, all right, cool. Well, that's it for gaming news this week. Let's get into our YouTube channel of the week. Are we going with one of my picks again?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about Easy Allies, because you just recently mentioned game trailers and going through and watching some game trailer stuff. Have you talked about Easy Allies before? Mm-hmm. These are the game trailer guys.
Oh,
and they have like a $40,000 a month Patreon with like 6,000 patrons, and they're doing game trailer stuff again. Like I'm in the middle of watching his name Kyle and Brandon play through Pokemon and have like a Pokemon podcast. And Brandon has only ever played one game, and I guess he did a thing on game trailers that the fans really liked. And the other guy, Kyle's really hardcore about liking Pokemon. So it's cool to... It's just really entertaining, and those guys are awesome at communicating and talking about games. Yeah, I felt like I hit a gold mine.
Yeah, awesome.
And they got a ton of content, too.
Yeah, they have a trailer for a Souls retrospective. That's excellent, because their retrospectives are awesome.
Unbelievable. And they have a podcast every week. So, yeah, check out Easy Allies. If you liked any of the game trailer stuff, check them out. And they're trying to crowdfund the ability to bring some of the series back. And their Patreon video is quite funny. They're like, we used to work at a place. That place doesn't exist anymore. But if you'd like us to make the stuff we used to make, here's how to help. What were you going to say?
That's so weird that, like, game trailers can't keep these guys on payroll anymore. They let them go. So they go and start a YouTube channel, and they're making $40K a month. That's like...
Clearly stuff is lost in the shuffle. There's too much bureaucracy, or it gets too bloated, or they're not focusing on the right stuff. Who's ever managing a place like Game Trailers that gets shut down is insane.
Yeah. Yeah, they make over $43,000 a month.
Now, granted, there's a lot of them, so that's not very much.
Right.
But that's still, I don't know. That's people just giving them out of their pockets cash. That doesn't count any revenue, any other advertising that they would do. So, how does that happen?
The company that figures out how to, like, make the Patreon, the people who split off and go to Patreon, if they can figure out a way to keep those guys around and then capitalize on it, that will be like the next big...
It will, and then it'll eat itself, and the cycle will have to re-evolve again.
Right. Ouroboros will eat itself.
But yeah, go to Easy Allies. I really like Brandon Jones a lot. He's got one of the best voices in podcasting.
Deus Ex Retrospective, Part 1.
Perfect. Dustin, you're very welcome.
Thank you. I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow and when I'm not working.
And if we don't have Cyberpunk Saturdays, we'll know why. He just
right, yeah.
But when I found this channel, it was like last night. I felt bad immediately because I'm like, Dustin just talked about game trailers. He must have been talking about Easy Allies, and I just wasn't paying enough attention.
Nope.
Sweet.
I was watching old game trailers videos. That's awesome. Oh man, I feel so good about that because those guys they do an excellent job and they're getting paid for it. I was really bummed when I found out that all that stuff stopped.
Yes, and they really are excellent. They don't do clickbait stuff. It's their content. I mean, maybe they will. I don't know, but I always knew them as just making really in-depth, well-made videos. Great scripts, good information. Even in this Pokemon podcast, he's got a 3DS that he plays all of Pokemon while capturing it. So he's got B-roll going over their conversation. It'd be like me editing in-game footage over the podcast. It's just not going to happen. And they're taking the time to do that. It's awesome. It's really cool. So, yeah, everybody go to youtube.com/easyallies and subscribe. Their stuff is awesome. So, all right, cool. Well, Dustin, man, what have you been playing?
One thing, and it was on my phone.
I've never heard of this.
It's called Castlevania Puzzle Encore of the Night. And it is a match 3 puzzle game.
Okay.
Based in Symphony of the Night.
Is it just like straight Candy Crush style, or does it have some progression elements like you must build a boat or 10 million?
It's about halfway in between.
Okay. So there is still like a benefit for maybe getting particular matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so there's a chance for a random encounter. Okay, so it's hard to explain. You are Alucard, and you're moving through the castle.
Okay.
And every time you move from one room, and it's the actual map of the castle.
That's pretty rad.
As you move from one room to another, there's a chance for an encounter. Every encounter will give you experience. You get drops. You level up. You have equipment.
Okay.
And the way it works is so you're doing a match 3 and your opponent is doing a match 3. And the better you're doing at the match 3, the more you're going to screw up the other person.
Okay.
Like if you do a bunch of chains, it'll drop a bunch of garbage on their side. And the whole time there's a clock that ticks down, and when it ticks down, you hit each other for damage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where your equipment comes in. So if you have really high defense and really high offense, then he'll hit for 1 and you'll hit for like 1 billion.
Okay, cool. Does it feel strategic where you'll face, I don't know, like a ghoul, so you'd want to not worry about defense, you just have to kill them as fast as you could? Or, you know what I mean? Like depending on the enemy, do you try to match different stuff in real time against them?
Not really.
Okay.
It's just you try to match as much as possible. There are blocks that come down that aren't immediately matchable.
Okay.
You would have to... those blocks you have to put next to a match 3, and then they'll turn into a normal block.
Oh, okay.
And at that point, you can use them to match something. So
I think Bejeweled's had mechanics like that, where there's like a locked jewel in a way.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. But it's a good way to set up different chains.
Cool. That sounds pretty great. I'm gonna look at that. Was it free to play or $5 or?
It's on iOS, and I remember paying money for it, but it was a long time ago.
Okay.
And I don't think it's on the store anymore.
Oh. Well, maybe I'll be able to sideload it. I've got an Android phone. I'm in the Wild West, man.
All right. It's probably really easy to get on Android if it was ever ported there. But it's like, so it's weird because it's official. It has Konami's name on it when you first boot the game, but it looks like some fan art, like fan-made ass video game.
Capcom put their name on that Mega Man port.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
It probably was an intern. Like you just passed your C# course? Okay, well, here's the beginner guide to Objective-C. Go make an app. As Eric says, all the people in the Switch promotional material had tiny hands. It didn't fool me, though. Oh, yeah, he did. He said I went full autistic and measured the dimensions based on the amiibo next to it in the commercial. I remember Eric doing this, and he was really close to the official specs. It was impressive. He had, like, boxes in Photoshop and scaling keys to, like, this cube equals this much of the base of an amiibo. And he was like, there's error because it's not side by side, but it was close enough that he could make estimates from it.
Mm.
It was awesome. That's
awesome.
As Eric also said, you must build a boat. Is that some sort of God simulator game? No, it's match 3, and you got to build a boat. It's amazing. It's a really, really, really good game. Made by the same guy that did 10 Million.
Ooh, okay.
And You Must Build a Boat is a match 3 game where you are trying to acquire materials to build a boat to save yourself. And in the boat, you unlock different... It's cool. It's a really fun game. It's $1 or $2, and I would highly recommend it if you've ever liked a match 3 game before. Those are my 2 favorites of all time. And then I'd probably go with a Bejeweled.
Yeah. 10 Million was awesome.
there was a Bejeweled. Was it Bejeweled or was it Peggle? Microsoft Instant Messenger had a head-to-head Bejeweled type game that my friend Jessica and I would play to goof off when we were slow at work. I forget what it was, but it was all just based on Instant Messenger. It was cool. Zarek says it's breaking up on his end.
Hope not.
Yeah, I'm like on the brink of pushing it too far. But I'm getting good signs in OBS, and my frame drops keep going down. So I just hit refresh, I guess. Hopefully it's just you. Yeah, stop ad blocking us, man. Cool. Well, I'll let you know if I can find it and sideload the APK, or maybe it's in the Google store or something. Or maybe Konami was like, I know that we don't give a shit about video games, but we give a tiny amount, and this one's a little embarrassing, so we're going to pull this one down. They'll never buy pachinko machines if we put this crap out. Cool. Well, anything else you wanted to say, I guess, before I run through my stuff real quick?
I played some Peggle, too, now that you mention it.
Oh, what a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
360?
On my phone again.
Nice, okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to get through the main story, main in quotation marks, main story, until I get to pick my guy. Mm-hmm. Like, you can pick your special. I always go with Jimmy Lightning because he has multi-ball.
Okay. Hey, NASCAR fan. What's up? I was hanging out with NASCAR fan during one of the... Was it your streams?
Maybe.
It's either you or Tony.
Maybe it was Tony.
Yeah, I think it was Tony. I'm thinking he did. But it's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. We're doing good. Just talking about video games. So I mentioned earlier, Paprium, my investment converted, so I have a pre-order. Hopefully it comes out this fall. And they say very clearly on their site that there are 2 controller settings, but for the quote-unquote full experience, you want to use a 6-button controller.
Word.
I don't have one. I never have. So I bought one. And I think I'm going to ask around for friends if I can trade or buy a 6-button from them. Or I'm going to take Battlefield 1 that I'm never going to play again for Xbox One. Mm-hmm. And see if they have a 6-button at the game store here in town.
Ooh, yeah.
And if I'm able to find one there, then maybe I'll get like a good trade and get one cheap, because this is a beat 'em up. I'd love to play with some friends. So, yeah, I don't know why the breakup's happening. There broke up for me a little bit there. It's weird. I'm getting greens on YouTube. It says live health. It's fine. OBS is now it just dropped. So we're just gonna have to push through. And if it's driving you guys crazy and you have to leave, I understand. The recording will be up on Friday, so if it's unwatchable live, I understand, and I will just catch you guys on Friday. I don't know. I should have restarted my router, or I must have something going on my network, because my upstream is going kind of wacky. And I turned off like Plex, and I turned off Steam, and I don't have anything backing up at the moment. Or do I? No? Backblaze doesn't do anything? So, all right, well.
Is it your Echo?
Better not be. I asked her today, are you spying on me? And it told, well, yes, clearly yes. But they've got a canned answer ready to go, with directions to go to the privacy statement. She answers. Whatever. They're spying anyways. Might as well make it convenient. I'll keep my dictionary.
That's Amazon's privacy statement. You haven't heard the NSA's privacy statement.
The NSA's privacy statement's their middle finger. They're like, we...
Yes.
All right. Okay, well, thanks for sticking with us, Zach. Appreciate it. But yeah, so I've got an OEM 6-button controller, and I will be looking to find one more, because RPG beat 'em up's got to be played with 2 people if at all possible.
Yeah.
I've been playing. I've been playing a lot of Zelda still. I hit a part that feels a little more linear, which has been a tremendous relief. It's still incredibly hard. I'm dying a lot. But I tried it on my TV, and it looked awesome. So I've actually been playing it more on my TV, and the performance issues, I have had a little bit of kind of frame dropping a little bit, but it's been very minimal. And I had a little bit of that in handheld mode anyways. So I think that the performance issues while docked versus undocked may have been overblown a little bit. At least how I interpreted what people were saying, I thought it was going to be worse than it is.
Yeah.
So, and like it's been raining and stuff, and it's been handling it fine. Hey, Gabriel, what's up? Thanks for joining. What's up? Yeah. So Zelda Breath of the Wild, I will keep going. I am. Oh, and I did craft something that was awesome.
Okay.
Without a recipe, so I still haven't looked up recipes yet, but I'm getting close to doing it. And then I've been playing some Super Mario Run. Tony and I are both addicted to it right now. It's a cute little game, and I like it. So, been playing a little bit of that. That's been my phone game lately. And I played Batman again, and I got past the part that I thought was impossible. So I made some good progress. That was fun, and that game's unbelievable. It's ridiculously hard, but it is awesome. If you're not familiar with Batman, you can go watch my stream or get it on an emulator and play it. Batman on the NES is awesome. Highly recommend it.
That first level music.
Ridiculous. And the fourth level music is so good. And I had never been there before. So it was a whole new tune for me. I'm like, this is awesome.
All right. Speaking of the mini bosses, their second album, they did Batman.
I did not know that. You give me all sorts of shit to Google afterwards. So let's get into listener feedback and all that stuff. If you'd like to email the show and have us read it on air, send the email to classicleet@gmail.com. That's classic L337. And we got a email from our good friend Kevin up in Canada. He says, hey, you guys. Nice little Goonies reference there. He says, I've been playing Breath of the Wild for about a week now, and I have already put over 60 hours into it. This is by far becoming my favorite game of all time, or one of my favorite games of all time. Somehow pushing Metal Gear Solid 5 out of the way and sneaking its way ahead of that. I usually don't care for open world games, and I usually don't care for Zelda games, as I'm not much into that world, like fairies, dragons, swords. I'm more post-apocalyptic, like Fallout. That's bullshit, because his podcast outro music was the Game Over screen from Zelda. Freaking poser. And he says, but man, oh man, I cannot put this game down, and I don't have to, since I can play it off the TV due to the Wii U. So that's great. Zarek liked the port of the Wii U version. I'm glad to hear that's a good version.
Yeah.
That it's really very, very similar. That would suck if the Wii U people got kicked one last time in the teeth. Oh, yes. Zarek, we got your comment, so thank you for that. We'll get... definitely didn't miss it. And then Kevin goes on to say, this is one of those rare games where my gamepad battery dies because I'm playing so much. I think Hannah, which is his daughter, said her first sentence and I pushed her out of the way because the characters were saying something important. That shows how much ADD I apparently have. I'll look at the map, make my destination, and then I'll make my way there. However, I'll find a shrine and conquer that. Then I'll find a stable and ride a horse. Then I'll discover a cave or something, and then I'll try recipes, and then I'll find another side quest, and 7 hours later, I've been doing nothing, and seems all the same. I've probably done 10% and clocked in way much more time. Yeah, dude, I I was complaining about that to my friend Matt. Like, there's too many sparklies on the way to a goal. Just,
you just got to go after them one at a time.
This is why I like linear games. I don't like my distractions. I like being told what to do, but it does handle it well, and I've enjoyed it. So, I'll keep playing. And then he says, I haven't had this much fun and desire to want to go home and play a game in a long time, not since Metal Gear Solid 5. And there's no achievements to flaunt. I'm also playing by not looking at anything, so I really don't know what to expect. I'm trying to do the exact same thing. I haven't looked up... Word Up Magazine. Yeah, and then he also goes on to say, besides, I've also been playing Axiom Verge, which is pretty rad on the Vita. He says, think Metroid. Psh, like, we don't... Like, I'm not on my third playthrough of Axiom Verge. Come on. He says, I've been on an old school kick lately ever since the NES Mini arrived, but I've been playing everything but my NES Mini and the Capcom collection Reloaded for PSP and available on Vita. He's been playing those games too, along with trying to kick ass in Ghosts and Goblins for iOS. I'm not sure when I can finish those games, but seriously, Vector Man is so hard but good. Yeah, I really like Vector Man a lot, which will lead into his question. Zerk has a tip. He says, zoom in and mark them, and then change the mark into a tag, and then come back to it later. Yes, they built in a mechanic so that you can come back to the shiny things. But on your way there, you pollute your map with all these little dots, so it's like Assassin's Creed. Like, oh, well, there's 8 million things to do, so...
I heard there's only like 900 of those seats.
Oh, okay. My perspective has totally changed. Kevin says, I have yet to finish Vector Man, and I remember back in the day, there was actually a contest to see who could beat Vector Man. He said, I would rent that game from Blockbuster and always lose. He's got a YouTube video. He says, I've never beat it, and I still haven't. My question is, what's an old school game, or to an extent, a new game that you've always wanted to beat but never did? Ghosts and Ghouls is up there for him. But he says, I'm also trying to beat Mega Man or Vector Man without save states. But the Vita does have standby mode. So I'm looking at that as if I left my Genesis Switch on. Yeah, I totally agree. So he says, back in the day, he says, I've said back in the day twice, so I'm officially an old man. So Dustin, what's a game that, you've never beat that's kind of been nagging at you?
Okay, so I beat Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Wii.
Okay.
But I couldn't do it on my Super Nintendo.
Oh.
So that's one.
Hey, what's up, Act? Good to see you. One of our Twitter followers, who we follow back. It's good to see you. Yeah, so you go with that.
Yeah, and I left my Super Nintendo on for like 3 days trying to beat that game. And I was at the very end of the game.
Of course.
Like, I beat it once and came back, and I was at the very end of the game.
But isn't that adding to the pressure because you can't just set it down and have it in standby mode and come back? Like, you've already invested that much time at that sitting that you can hit that frustration point and you can't necessarily come back to it tomorrow. Like, so is that adding to your inability to beat it?
A little bit, yeah.
Mine's Sonic the Hedgehog. I was never able to beat the first one.
That's another one that I've beaten on like PS3 or something.
I've beaten every level of the game except for the third Labyrinth Zone game. So I've used the code to play the final stage and have beaten the boss and have seen the credits. But I have never been able to beat that Zone 3 game. No, I don't think Andrew is one of our Instagram followers, but he should be because it's a very exclusive elite club.
That's right.
Zerk started Instagram just to bug us, which is bumping those numbers. No, it's cool. Like, sometime I'll come back to my phone and there'll just be like 8 notifications from Instagram. It's because Zerk logged in, liked a few photos, and I'll see him again in like 3 weeks. It's like he's so bored. He's like, I guess I'll open Instagram. And then Kevin's got a joke. He says, this is a dad joke. He says, why do scuba divers fall backwards when diving? Because if you fell forward, you'd be in the boat. Dad.
It's so bad.
Andrew, it wasn't that in Instagram. We use it really just for people that listen to the podcast and Console Wars, and that's pretty much it. We like their stuff.
I'm still not sure what Instagram is used for.
It's for putting pictures underneath tweets. That's it.
Okay.
It seems to be... You can follow topics more than people, so it's not polluted with engagement pictures or whatever from all your friends that you don't really care about, but you're Facebook friends with. You can follow more like Pinterest, where you can follow like retro gaming or fashion or sites and places.
Okay. So it feels like it's halfway in between like Twitter and Pinterest.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of gun enthusiasts that'll show up. There are different rigs and shooting range stuff. There's really big hunting communities there, so... He says that he unlikes and relikes the Console Wars GIF that I put up. It won't let me give it a like each time I visit. Yeah, I got a new toothbrush, and that happened to me. I got an electric toothbrush, and I can't... I will be 80 years old, and that'll happen to me, and I'll think of that segment in Console Wars.
Oh, my goodness.
Andrew does make a good point. Instagram can be a really good Vine alternative. Yeah, Vine was neat. I only consumed stuff. I never made anything, but...
if you don't know what we're talking about in regards to toothbrushes, go watch Console Wars Earthworm Jim episode, and you'll know what we're talking about when you see it.
Yes. That's great. So, cool. Thank you very much, Kevin. Also, a shout out to him for hooking us up with some codes for Meganoid from Orange Pixel. I think we mentioned that last week, but also wanted to thank him again for that. I unlocked it, so when the game's released, I'll be ready to go. Next up, do you want to get Zarek's comment, and then I'll finish up with Damez?
Yeah, let's see here. Zarek says, I'm late with my comment again. Shame, shame, shame. Posting a quick one during the podcast. Sorry it isn't directly related to the podcast. This is something that you may find interesting. A new Warframe was added to Warframe. Her name is Octavia. She's a musical-themed Warframe. She looks and moves amazingly. She moves like she's always dancing. Her abilities are all music-based, and the best part is that you can write your own music,
Whoa.
and it had a direct effect on your abilities. For instance, one of her abilities gives buffs if you perform actions on beat to her track. So if you do things like shoot your gun with the beat, the damage gets boosted a ton.
That's rad. Adding live rhythm elements and... Oh, that's awesome. How do you incorporate that? To make that mechanic work is amazing.
Yeah. There is one huge problem with this right now. Nobody has made any Mega Man 2 tracks yet. But don't worry, I'm on it. Nice. Then Ghostbuster, then Zelda, then Double Dragon, then Contra, then the world.
I will get into Warframe just for that alone. Just the music aspect would draw me in. That's freaking sweet.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my mind around how you would handle that dynamically. I was blown away that Mario Kart music would change depending on weird stuff happening.
Yeah.
It's just like putting a filter over. That's awesome. I mean, you can have rhythm-based stuff like what Rayman does, but you're putting that on because you're doing hit detection. You're hitting a box, you're hitting an enemy, and there are some things that, like, you can't avoid the rhythm. It adds to the feel, and it's great, but that's awesome. So, Warframe versus the world. So thanks, Zarek, man. And don't feel bad about late comments, especially when you hang out with us the whole time. and deal with choppy YouTube. But again, we will have a corrected version up on YouTube on Friday. So if the stream's a little wonky for you right now, I apologize. My crappy Ohio upload speed is not being conducive right now to a good stream. Damez says, no lag, no problem. Do as I say. He says, I have one of the things that you need to do. He says, get an HDMI splitter, 1 in, 2 out. One goes to the Elgato, one goes to your TV. This will bypass any Elgato lag. Also, have you researched your TV? And he was giving me some TV information, but I'm actually not using that. I'm using a TV monitor for my stream, or a computer monitor for my streaming. And I haven't noticed latency with the Elgato bypass, so I don't know if I need to split it. Plus, I have all the equipment to do a, hey, Kevin, what's up? You just missed... we just read your email, man. But I have I have component cable splitters, like, already. So I'm going to have it split out of the breakout box. One of the TV, if I need it, and then the Elgato pass-through's been good enough for me to play NES games without an issue. So I'm hoping I can just go from my consoles through the upscaler, through the Elgato, and I won't notice a lag.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. And I did get an update. I forgot to talk about this. The open source scaler guy, Matt at Video Game Perfection, unbelievable. I get a personal note from him every time. Oh, it's not like Dear Scott, but he sends out like an email and blind copies the small people in the particular batches. So he emailed me the other day and was like, hey, just to let you know, the audio boards have shipped. And then today I got an email that's like, hey, we received the audio boards early. They're in the queue. I'll let you know when we start working on your batch of systems. And then he'll give updates from there. And I've gotten all these updates like every other day on things that I would normally check Amazon for just to see like where it is, like if it's coming from China or whatever. And he's like letting me know like, hey, the boards are in good working order and here they are in the queue and we'll be getting them out around this time. And I cannot wait to get that scaler, man. That would be...
Yeah, that's really smart.
So it's just wonderful. Like he's a mom and pop, just side business kind of thing. Like, I mean, he is a retailer, but he's not like Amazon. He's doing his own distribution, his own ordering, and still takes the time to write emails to people to keep them up to date. Like, I just spent 4 or 5 years in the dark from Watermelon, and this guy's giving me like proper updates. It's awesome. But Damez is right. If I do run into lag issues, or if me splitting the signal causes degradation in quality that I'm not okay with, I'm definitely going to use his HDMI solution. And then also, he said, dudes, you got to sign up with Amazon. Make sure that you also do Amazon.ca. I think he's talking about for our affiliate stuff. He says, I'm the only one in my neighborhood with Amazon Prime, and all my homies buy shit through me, and I can buy hell a lot. That would be awesome. He says, get one of those links where I can click it, and you will get some cash. That would be, hopefully next week we'll be live with our Amazon affiliate stuff, and you'll be able to support our show directly through Amazon, or you can view our stuff at kit.com, and if you buy through that, you'll be able to help our channel. So, like I said, I'm not willing to look at that Patreon zero for long enough. But if someone wants to help us out and buy through Amazon, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. It's kind of like a little tip jar, you know?
Yeah.
We did also, we have Super Chat, which means people can like pay money on our YouTube stream to have the chat be noticed. And like, so let's say we were popular and the chat was like screaming by. You could pay money to get in like a colored queue, and then it's really easy for the host to go and click and address stuff that would have normally been lost in the shuffle from like spam comments and trash talk and stuff. So it's a good way to give a tip, kind of like if you give someone $5 at a bar to play a song that you want to hear at an open mic or something. So I don't know, maybe we'll present that down the road, but as of now, we'll just keep it small. And if you'd like to support us, we'll have some Amazon stuff for you. Yeah, Kevin says the Genesis game looks unbelievable, by the way. Yes, I put it on Instagram. Which I took a picture of a screen and it still looks incredible. Like pixel density on my Chromebook is amazing. Zarek says he's got a great point. He says, wait a second, I didn't think of this until now. Mega Man is cyberpunk. Define. A genre of science fiction set in a lawless subculture of an oppressive society dominated by computer technology. It's not depressing enough, but it's damn close. I totally see that argument.
Yeah.
It's like the porn argument, though. It's hard to define, but you know it when you see it.
Right.
When I see Mega Man, I don't think cyberpunk, but I think by that definition, it absolutely would pass for that. We should start a revolution. Hashtag Mega Man is cyberpunk.
That's
everything right. We post, no matter what. So yeah, thank you for the tip, Dumez. I will definitely look at getting us affiliated through Amazon CA as well. And he also goes, number file, you dog, of course. Also computer file. Rad. And then he also says, I can explain why math is so great. It's the only source of absolute knowledge. He said, an amazing fact. Since the dawn of humanity, no mathematical discovery or theorem has ever been found to be wrong or proven false. Zero. Unlike science or philosophy, every bit of math knowledge is just as true as the day it was discovered and proved, which is awesome. As a child, barely out of diapers watching Star Trek, I always admired Spock's character and the idea of undisputed logic, and math is a perfect expression of logic. Yeah, you said it well. I love math, and it blows me away that if I went to Korea and I started writing down math problems, and the person had never even met an American before, we could do math problems together without any problem. Or that was accidental pun, but without issue, we could communicate that way, which is cool. Kevin says, I show up and you want money? Tisk tisk. Hey, well, you got to pay to have your emails read, bud.
That's right.
Kevin says he would use Amazon CA to help us out, which would be very awesome. Zarek says it's not depressing enough because of the art. Mega Man 2's ending. Ooh. Mega Man 2's ending is dark enough to be cyberpunk. That still, chokes me up. It's really emotional for me to watch the ending of that, and also when Fievel loses his parents. That wrecked me as a kid. I couldn't... You know what I'm talking about? American Tail? The beginning, the boat scene when they get separated?
I don't remember that.
Man, and then whenever... I don't remember this, but my mom said that whenever Somewhere Out There would come on the radio, I'd start crying and scream for her to change it, because it would, upset me so much.
Oh, no.
I mean, I do get a weird feeling when that song comes on, but I don't remember it being that aggressive, but I'm sure she was right. Zarek says, even with Mega Man, it's even got the dominant corporate aspect. It does. Uncle, you win. I will not defend Mega Man. It's not a cyberpunk anymore.
I think most people would classify it as post-cyberpunk.
You just...
Kind of like Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah. Which, I thought about you. CinemaSins did a Ghost in the Shell Everything Wrong With.
Yeah, I'm waiting with bated breath for Chris Stuckman to put up his review of the ScarJo version.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Ever since Lost in Translation, I'm burnt out on her now because she's so wildly popular.
Yeah.
But when Lost in Translation came out, it had been a long time since I had a crush that hard on a movie star. I loved that movie. It was so... It's got two of my favorite actors, Bill Murray and Giovanna Ribisi. And then she was awesome in it, so...
Yeah.
And it had a cool. I really liked that movie. Kevin, yes, at least you got to say hello to us. So that's it for Dumbass's feedback. Thanks for hanging out, dude, and watching. I appreciate that. And that's going to be it for the show. So, again, Kevin, thank you very much for stopping by. Gabriel, appreciate it. Andrew, good to see you again. And that's going to... I bet you're playing Zelda, Kevin. Just going to guess.
I was going to guess Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel.
Hardcore. That's Dustin the retro hipster. You should have like black rim glasses just on your desk to put on.
Okay.
When you're going to get obscure. You should have two. One with tape in the middle for if you're getting like super nerdy about something. And then if you're just throwing knowledge around, you can put on the professor specs. The
tape ones if I want to get really pedantic.
See, you'd have to put them both on for that word. So, but everybody, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Again, if you'd like to write us an email, you can contact us with classicelite@gmail.com. Just to give you a rundown of our schedule on Mondays, our good friend Tony and co-founder, he's going to be doing streams on Mondays. It had been PS4 stuff, but he's got some Android games that he's going to be streaming. So definitely check those out. And then Tuesdays, I stream NES games from my collection. If you have any requests, let me know. I will play it if I have the cart. Wednesdays, we record the podcast around 8 p.m. Eastern, and that's a live broadcast. On Fridays, we publish the podcast. And on Saturdays, Dustin plays cyberpunk-themed video games. He's in the middle of playing Flashback on the SNES right now, and he finished up, it was a full playthrough. How many parts did you get up to on Deus Ex?
I think it was 16.
16? I would have guessed 17. So, yeah, I'm sure you're right. But yeah, played all the way through Deus Ex, so you can go watch that. And that's kind of our schedule. So if you'd like to hang out with us, please subscribe. If you are interested in only audio stuff, you can get our podcast through our RSS feed at our website, classicleet.com. Or search for us on your favorite podcast app, and you should find us without a problem. We also are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, SoundCloud. But SoundCloud has the music perks as well. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Just search for Classic Elite for all of those. That's Classic L337. Thank you very much to Ben Landis for letting us use his song Through the Forest for our intro music. And this week, Dustin, I have that song that I mentioned that's called Math Rock. It's by an artist that we featured before. It's Arthur X. Medic. This song is called Monsters All and Happy We. And this, if you like complex time signatures and you like them to change as songs progress, I would highly recommend you listen to this song. And I guess think Rush with a little bit of video game filter over it.
Okay.
So, yeah. And I love Rush. So, it'll make sense if whether you like or hate Rush, if you listen to this, you're like, oh yeah, a Rush fan would totally be into this song. So, yeah, everybody, thank you very much for listening to episode 225, our nice little fake round number, our 25th anniversary of the bicentennial. And we will see you next week for episode 226.
Boosh.